Hey Kerbal Space fans, how's everybody doing? This is Raw here with episode 2 of my realistic looking rocket to the moon series. So let's go ahead and continue where we left off. Now I remember saying that I was done with the LEM, but I forgot something. This thing is going to need lateral control with the with the RCS. So we're going to put some of these on it. I'll try to put them here in the middle, but they don't mess with the legs too much. That should be okay. Doesn't get in the way of the windows, the power, or the door. And even though it's a little high, because the center of mass of the ship is probably around here, since we have these that are going to hold it in place, it'll be fine. Remember that what's going to be coming back and docking is just this part. All this other stuff stays on the surface of the moon. Second, I've been wondering to myself why I put these fairings up here when I can just put them here and make them longer and cover up everything with one set. So let's do that as well. Scoot these down here to the very top so they cover almost everything. When it's 6 times symmetry. There we go. We're going to put this on the top of that one like that. And we're going to reattach the struts. Okay, that'll give it a little bit more structure and the fake atmospheric resistance. And that's still staged right, so we're good with that. Alright, let's continue with the first stage. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go old school. I'm not going to use any of the new parts. I'm going to go ahead and, well, of course, put on the decoupler first. I need the big one. There it is. Now these will fire together, so we'll stick those and that. Okay, great. So I put the orange tank and the gray tank. This is exactly how we used to do it before we got the SLS parts. And we're going to use our trusty old friend, the mainsail engine. For years, this was the strongest engine KSP had to offer. Now it's medium-sized at best. But, you know, those of us that have been playing this for a while still have a place in our heart for the old mainsail. Alright, so I'm going to stick this a little bit up into the coupler and use my 4 times symmetry. And to try to make this seem like just one big rocket, I'm going to use our trusty offset tool and just scrunch it in. Okay, not too much so that the engines aren't stacked one on top of the other. No, that looks pretty good. And now, of course, well, we don't need any hoses for this because it's the exact same tank configuration for each engine, so they'll all burn and run out of fuel at the same time. I'll put a couple of struts on the top and bottom just to make sure nothing weird happens. And now I want to make this look like a solid rocket piece, so let's first, now remember, all this is going to come off, so I can build wing things into it, and that's fine, it'll just come out. The rocket engine itself is under there, so this whole shroud will go. So I'm going to put a wing connector right here from the edge, and this small wing bit. Do that, of course, to both sides. Whoa, okay. And then use our rotator tool to blend this into that. There we go. Let's do the side of the wing. Just want this to just be outside the surface of the tank. There we go. And let me pull this one out a little bit, just a little bit. There, that looks pretty good. So that looks like it, well, from a distance it'll look like it's one piece. Let's go ahead and finish making the sides of the first stage looking like one single piece. I'm going to use this wing connector. I'm going to put two of them, one on top of the other. And just make sure it's as well lined up as I can. Okay, there we go. And give it a slight curvature. Alright. So now how I want these to connect, I probably want them to connect from like the corner here. And then I'll just bend it in so that it touches that one there, and it'll give it a nice round look. And I of course want enough of these to cover the whole rocket. Okay. Let's see how we can rotate this home. Is that on it? Maybe a little bit more? No. A little bit less. Yeah, that's probably where it's going to end up being. Let's do that to all three. Whoa! Okay. There we go. So now when we look at this, it looks like just one big thing with 5 engines sticking out the bottom. Not if you look straight down on it, but who's going to do that? Since these are clipped into the side of the tank, I don't actually think I need to strut it. I think they'll be fine. Last but not least, I left this open part of the tank so I can put some winglets on it. Let's put the deluxe winglet right there. And our good old stability enhancers, which will of course be staged with the main engines. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Looks like an actual rocket. One last thing we're going to do before we start doing launch pad testing is a little bit of action grouping, mostly to do with the escape system. So the way we're going to do this is the abort is going to fire this, so I'll activate engine and release this. Number one is going to be the okay, everything worked out fine, so we're going to fire that and decouple that just to get rid of the tower. We can do that in space. And number two is going to be the okay, let's get rid of the tower and shoot off the parachutes if we already have aborted. So that's going to decouple this one again and turn on the parachutes, or deploy the parachutes. Okay, we're not testing this anymore. Mission 1. Yay for originality. Alright, so we're going to do two tests. We're going to do the launch tower test and the jettisoning the abort test before we go anywhere, just to make sure I don't get nobody killed. Whoa! Okay. That was interesting. And so let's see, does this look like a rocket? Looks kind of like a rocket, yep. Alright, so the first test we're going to do is, let's abort, okay. So we're going to click on abort, and away we go. And a bunch of stuff blew up. We hit 2, the tower goes away, the parachute's deploying, everybody should walk away from that, just fine. All kinds of stuff blown up over there, but whatever. Alright, let's revert this to launch. This is going to be the all clear. So if we're already in space and we're doing fine, we hit 1. Yep, that looked like it worked out well. I wonder where that'll land. Okay, I'm thinking we're looking pretty good for launch. Push comes to shove, our boards will make it back. You know, some things go wrong. Has anybody ever noticed that when we do the reload, it seems to be foreshadowing some fiery death for everybody? It always freaks me out. But anyway. Throttle up, SAS on, lights on. Let's check out the fuel, and away we go. Okay, we're climbing at a good rate. I will likely have to throttle this down a little bit just to make sure I don't break the 200 meters per second speed limit that Scott Manley has always told us about before we hit, the gravity turn. I'm going to start doing that now. Let's try to keep it not too much into, so it's accelerating slowly. There we go. Slowly but surely climbing up in both velocity and altitude. I'm probably going to just let it go over here real quick. Okay, we're going to do the gravity turn. Let's see if this thing wobbles. No, not really. That's good. I mean, it's always going to wobble a little bit, but that's because I'm pumping the control left and right. I'm not actually just mashing it. Okay, we're going way faster than 200 meters per second, but that's fine. We're going to stop here at the 45-degree mark and just let it burn out. So I have this minute. Let's talk about some stuff that's been going on. So probably a lot of you other guys are space nerds just like me. Saw the SpaceX launch of the CRS-5. They almost were able to nail a landing with the first stage. Apparently it just took some damage. The news report I saw a couple days ago said that they damaged the barge more than the actual stage, so hopefully they'll be able to repair and see what went on with that. We also had a Delta II rocket launch pretty, recently as well. And even more recently tonight, right before filming this video, I was watching the triumphant return to the octagon of Mr. Anderson Silva. Fought an okay fight, I guess. I don't know, when they're 5-rounders like that and nobody goes to the ground or gets knocked out, I tend to lose focus. I can't say I clearly remember the majority of that fight. But I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad he's okay. Alright, so, yep, a lot of stuff in orbit here, but that doesn't matter. Let's get this out to a good place to, cut off the engine, get rid of the fairings, that kind of thing. I probably want to put this out at about 100 kilometers. That leaves us a nice fast orbit so we can make our transfer burn from more efficiently. We are going to get both this last part of the rise, the circularization burn, and the transfer burn all out of that second stage that we're still longing around with us. Okay. I'll go a little bit over 100. Let's say like 105. I think that'll be fine. There we go. So we're still dropping a little bit. That's good. At this moment in time, I'm fairly certain we could make it back without an escape tower, so I'll hit 1. Goodbye, tower. We're staying with the idea that we have fake atmosphere that would destroy our equipment if we're not in space, so I'm going to keep the fairings till we cross 70. And I'm going to try to stay pointing prograde to lessen the drag as we're going through this last bit of the atmosphere. Still have a good amount of fuel in here. Yeah, a little less than half tank, that's fine. Okay, we're officially in space. I can get rid of this stuff. There's no use for it now. Not that there ever really was, but shh. Okay. So now that we're in space, we're not dropping altitude anymore. We're at the 105 like we wanted. We're going to circularize this orbit and prepare to do our transfer. 105, 108, that's about the same thing. I don't know, call me obsessive compulsive, but I like my orbits circular. 105, 104.8. 105, 105, okay, so all that stuff I know for a fact is going to come back into the atmosphere, so no debris created there. I'm going to turn off the SAS and use my RCS. This is why I put so much RCS onto the capsule, see? In the last video I said I'll show you why, and it's because I know that I'm going to have to maneuver this entire thing with mostly RCS thrusters on this thing. I'm not going to cheat and use time acceleration, so I'm going to take my time. Okay, enable the SAS and let's get it centered. And we have a 13-second burn in about a minute. Let's mildly time accelerate till that point. Let's start our burn 7 seconds before the mark. And I'm going to start it slowly so as to not jar this around too much. I have gimbling, so I shouldn't burn any RCS fuel doing that. And we should be circularized. 105, 10 something, 107, whatever, I'll leave it at that. Okay, so we now have pretty much everything that's going to do the transfer to the moon in one package and no unnecessary bits. All of them are in this little ring of debris ready to be burned up on re-entry. And we should have Moonrise and our transfer burn coming up pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this episode here. Episode 3 will be the transfer, the landing, and probably the return. So this might be just a 3-episode series. Of course, you never know. So for now, this is Raw signing off, reminding everybody to fly safe, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.